In this video, we're going to take a look at over 300 free developer resources, everything from design, accessibility, cheat sheets, image resources, frameworks, generators, code optimization, developer tools, Chrome extensions, and much, much more. I'm not going to spend too much time on each one because there are so many to go through. The complete list can be found in the description below, and I want to keep this list updated, but I need your help. It's on GitHub, so if you have any additions that you want to make, just submit a PR. If this video helps you out, help me out by liking and subscribing. Enough talking, let's take a look. The first category that we'll look at is accessibility. We have an accessibility cheat sheet to help you make your websites accessible. And we have accessible brand colors, so we can add our brand colors in here. And then hit get started, and we can see that these colors are accessible. If we add another color, let's say this green, and then we can see that there are some combinations that are not accessible. They are not passing. And then we have this color contrast checker. So again, we can enter our brand colors and then see if these pass. And we can also reverse the colors, which is pretty cool. Next up, we're going to look at sites for design inspiration. We have Awards, which is a great site. And then Behance, another great site to get inspiration from. And of course, Dribbble is an amazing site. Then we have Wireframe, which gives you actual websites that you can look at for inspiration. So for instance, if we wanted to look at the Airtable website, we can see all of the components for the Airtable website to get some inspiration. Next, we'll look at some free design tools. Adobe XD is a great choice. With it, you can create mockups for your design. And similar to XD is Figma. Figma is amazing since you can install the desktop app or use it in the browser. Next, we'll look at some other wireframe and mockup tools. We have App Mockup. We can create mobile app mockups. And very similar, we have MockUphone, which is a free and simple screenshot device mockup generator. Then we have Mockups, which is a bit more robust. We can create full wireframes with this. And then we have Wireframe CC, which is a very basic wireframing tool. Next, we'll look at template sites. So Wix has free templates that can get you up and running very quickly, as well as Squarespace. And then we have free HTML templates at HTML5 up. Start Bootstrap has Bootstrap themes and templates. Templated has more HTML5 templates. And again, free HTML5 has more templates. ColorLib has HTML and Bootstrap templates. Zero Theme has more HTML5 templates. More HTML5 templates at StyleShout. HTML5 CSS3 has more templates. This post has 27 Bootstrap admin templates and free HTML5 e-commerce templates for online stores. Next, we'll look at fonts. And of course, the first place that I go to is fonts.google.com. Then we have Font Flipper. So if we upload an image and then we type something, and then we can check out the fonts. And then we can choose if we like or don't like the font. Every time it will give us a new one. And as we go through, the ones that we like will show up in our list. Font Spark is similar to that. So if we type something in, and then we can choose if we like it or not. And then colors and fonts. If we go over to font pairings, we can get some very common font pairings that work well together. Really quick, like this video, it helps me out. Next, we'll look at color palette tools. Stylify Me lets you look up styles from other websites. So if we typed in here netflix.com, it's going to go out and get all of the styles from that website. We can see all of the colors and we can see the typography of the website. Color dot is kind of interesting. Just move your cursor around and you'll get some colors. Then if you choose one, you can choose another, and you just keep going through until you create a great palette. Paletton is great as well. Select from the color wheel here and you'll get a great palette on the right. Another great way to get a color palette is Adobe's color wheel. So we can choose in this color wheel, we can choose the different types of palettes we want. And this works very well. And then we have Flat UI colors. These are pre-made palettes that you can choose from. Color Picker is just another interesting website. Pick a color and then you can find different shades of that same color. Colors is a great color scheme generator. And then back to colors and fonts, we can get some great pre-made palettes here as well. And color space allows us to generate some great color palettes as well. So if we pick a color here and then hit generate, we'll get some great color palettes. Colors.lol has some pre-made palettes, and ColorMind as well. There are a few great websites to create color gradients. One is UI Gradients, another is CSS Gradient, and then Gradient Designer. If you're looking for some royalty-free stock images, you need to check out Pixabay, Pexels, Unsplash, and FreePix. Unsplash also has a great API for pulling in random images into your demo projects. Also for demo projects, we have placeholder.com, which will create some placeholders for your images, and Placeholder Image Generator again does that same thing. There are a lot of resources for icons. One is Icon Finder. Another is Flat Icon. Of course, Font Awesome is one of the more popular. Hero icons are great as well. Bootstrap has their own icon library as well that you can use without Bootstrap. And lastly, Simple Icons. Next, we'll look at free illustrations. Lottie Files has free animated illustrations. And then we have Undraw, fun 404-page illustrations, Smash Illustrations, Control, Draw Kit, Open Doodles, Free Illustrations, Mini Pixels, Mix Kit, and Delazyne. There are a couple of ways to go about patterns. We have Pattern Ico, which allows you to create patterns out of icons, and then you can download that as a PNG. We have Subtle Patterns, which again allows you to download images of patterns. And then we have Hero Patterns. This one actually gives you CSS. Another one that can be used in CSS is pattern.css. And we have Patternify. You can create your own patterns here and then download the CSS. And then Patternizer, again, allows you to customize and then download the CSS. Image compression is very important for responsive websites. We have Tiny PNG, Tiny JPG, JPEG.io, Squish, and SVG OMG. We can open up a demo on this one. This will allow you to compress your SVGs. There's also a free background remover from images. Getting into CSS, we have a BEM cheat sheet. BEM is a naming convention for CSS that I love to use, and this cheat sheet gives you everything that you need to know. Next, we're going to look at CSS Frameworks. Next up is Bootstrap, which recently released their 5th version. Then we have Bootswatch, which are themes for Bootstrap. Bulma is another CSS framework. We also have the Zerb Foundation framework and the Materialize framework. And then, of course, getting very popular recently is Tailwind CSS. And there is a lot of support for Tailwind CSS. We have Tailwind Components, Tail Blocks, Tailwind UI, and a Tailwind CSS cheat sheet. All right, next we have a bunch of CSS tools. We have a CSS button generator, box shadow generator, Flexplorer allows you to explore Flexbox, CSS grid generator from Sarah Drasner, CSS specificity calculator, clip path generator, custom shape dividers, fancy borders, Houdini How, Neumorphism.io, 3D book generator. If you want to make your site look like the 90s, check out 98.css. Enjoy CSS is another great CSS generator for many different components. CSS Arrow Please helps you to create arrows for your tooltips. And then Image Effect with CSS. You can explore all of the different image effects available in CSS. Some more CSS tools that are specific to animation. One is Animista, which allows us to create CSS animations on demand. So we can select the animation and then it gives us the code. We have some pre-made CSS effects here. And then with the help of this keyframes app, we can create complex animations and then get the CSS. If you want to create a custom cubic Bezier, check out cubicbezier.com. And then for some pre-made easing functions, we have easings.net. Next up, we have generators. With Mockaroo, you can generate realistic data for testing in your application. And then we have another data generator, JSON generator. And then we have a couple of favicon generators, free favicon maker. And then we have an SHA-256 hash generator, an online UID generator. So every time you refresh this, this UID will be unique. And then we have meta tag generator. So you can enter your information and then preview and see what it will look like on Google, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Slack. Next, we have a couple of code image generators. So you could paste your code in here, select from many different themes, and then download the image and share it all over social media. And we could do the same thing with code image. You can select where you're trying to save this and it will give you the proper dimensions. And then again, type your code in and save it. Next, we have some code optimization resources. So we have Minify, which will minify your JS and CSS. And then we have Code Beautify, which will validate, minify, and beautify your code. The Alchemize app will minify and pretty print your code. And then Differ will help you out with code diffing. So if you have two pieces of code and you can't find the difference, just paste them in here and it will show you. And we can do the same thing here with Diff Checker. And lastly, we have Estimator. With this, you can find out how much turning on modern JavaScript could save your website. And next we have some converters. We have Babel, which is a modern JavaScript compiler. So you can type your modern JavaScript into here, and then it will compile it down to a version of JavaScript that will work across all of the browsers that you need to support. Then we have SassMeister, which will convert your SCSS to plain CSS. HTML to Jade will convert HTML to Jade/Pug. Then we have a base64 converter. Next, we're going to look at validation and compatibility. One of the best resources is Can I Use? If you're not sure if you can use a specific CSS property or JavaScript feature, type it into Can I Use and it will tell you if it's compatible with major browsers. Next, we have an ECMAScript compatibility table. Again, this will tell you what is compatible with which browsers. And we have the W3C markup validation service. So this is an HTML validation service. We have the same thing for a CSS validation service. Next, we have Freeformatter, which also has an HTML validator and linter. We have Code Beauty, which has a CSS validator. And JSLint will, of course, lint your JavaScript code. And lastly, we have Embold, which is a code analysis tool. It will help you with code design issues and help you to debug faster. There are several different ways to code in the browser. My go-to generally is CodePen. We also have JS Fiddle, LiveWeave, Replit, JSBin, and Code Sandbox. There are also some great resources for APIs. A great easy API builder is Presto API. Next, we have JSON placeholder for your testing needs. Then we have OpenWeather, which is an open weather API. Swappy is a fun Star Wars API. And then we have the Said So Quotes API and many other APIs in this great public APIs repo on GitHub. If you scroll through here, you can see all of the different categories and it tells you if authentication is needed or if it's completely open. All right, next we're going to look at a bunch of developer tools. Your main tool as a developer is going to be your code editor. My favorite is Visual Studio Code. If you need to test APIs, Postman is very popular. Another API tester is Insomnia. For online markdown editing, Stack Edit is great. If you want to know the JavaScript event code for any key, check out this great app from Wes Bos, Key Code. So if you just type any key on the keyboard, you're going to get the key code. Next, we have a screen size map. This gives you a screen size comparison for responsive designs. Snippet Generator allows you to easily create snippets for VS Code, Sublime Text, and Atom. The front-end checklist is great when you're deploying a site to make sure that you've checked off all of the things that you need to do. Bundle Phobia will find the cost of adding an NPM package to your bundle. I Hate Regex is a regex cheat sheet. If you need to know the regex for an email, there it is. Regexer is a great way to learn, build, and test regex. And then Regular Expressions 101 is a great site to build, debug, and share regex. Next, we have Kite, which is an AI-powered code completion for your code editor. I use this and it works great. There is a link in the description below if you want to try it out. Next, we have Wappalizer. This will identify technologies on websites. So if you want to know what tech stack a certain website is using, use this tool. HTML entity lookup. So if you need to know, for instance, let's say the copyright symbol, there it is, just type C into here and you get your HTML entity for the copyright symbol. Pastebin is a great snippet manager. HTML status codes is a great resource to see what all of these different status codes mean. Of course, GitHub is necessary for many developers. You need somewhere to store your code. Clockify is a free time tracker. Many times as you're coding, you need to track your time for billing purposes. Grammarly may not seem like a developer tool, but I use it for everything. If you write blog articles or emails or any sort of typing, you need to make sure that everything is spelled correctly. Stack Overflow, of course, is a developer's best friend alongside Google. And then there's no link to this, but another great developer's friend is the Chrome Developer Tools. So get to know your Chrome Developer Tools, your console, elements, sources, and network. You need to know how to use these to debug your applications. All right, next we have some must-have Chrome extensions. If you work with React, you need the React Developer Tools extension. Also, a great JSON viewer is necessary. This is my favorite one. It's just called JSON Viewer. What font will tell you what font is on the website that you're currently on. Fonts Ninja does the same thing. CSS Peeper will allow you to easily check out the CSS on the website that you're currently on. And CSS Viewer does something very similar. Dimensions allows you to easily measure screen dimensions. Page Ruler does the same thing. Wireframe highlights all of the elements on a page to easily identify all of the pieces. ColorZilla has a great color picker. And the Wappalizer extension will tell you what tech stack the current website that you're on is running. For domain names, my go-to is generally Namecheap. NameMesh is a great domain name generator. If you're not sure exactly what you're looking for, it will give you some great suggestions. For hosting, my go-tos are Netlify, Heroku, and Vercel. For databases, I like HarperDB, MongoDB, Fauna, and Firebase. And for authentication, I recommend Auth0. And another option is Firebase Authentication. For responsiveness, we have Responsinator. You can type in a website. So let's go to vscodehero.com. And we can see what that looks like on different devices. Pretty cool. And then what's my browser size is pretty simple. It just tells you the browser size. Next, we have a couple of site analyzers. We have WebDev Measure and we have Lighthouse Metrics. So let's again type in vscodehero.com and run that test. And it's going to test it over multiple regions. It will also emulate a different device and throttle the speed. And we have pretty good scores. I'm not sure why US West is taking so long. There are a few great resources for project management. Notion is great. Another one is Trello. And then we have Coggle, which creates mind maps and flowcharts. If you want to check the speed of your website from a specific location, just type it in here and test. On the KeyCDN website, we also have Pingdom website speed test from SolarWinds, which does the same thing. Next up is documentation. If you have a question about something, your first resource is going to be the documentation. The MDN web docs will answer pretty much all of your questions. We also have W3 schools. We have the React docs if you're working with React, Vue, Angular, Tailwind, Bootstrap, whatever framework or library that you're working with, they're going to have docs, so check those out first. A great resource that combines a lot of docs all into one place is DevDocs. So if you have a specific question about HTML, JavaScript, React, and then you can customize this and add much, much more and have them all right here at your fingertips to search through. Something very similar is Dev Hints, which is Rico's cheat sheets. He has cheat sheets for just about everything here. And if you haven't seen my massive web dev roadmap, be sure to check that out. There's also a very scaled back version that will not overwhelm you. Next, we're going to look at a bunch of great YouTube channels. The first category is just general web dev. We have Ahmed Awas, Ben Awad, Better Dev, Claudio Bernasconi, Coder, Coder1, Code Stacker, Code with Anya Kubo, Coding Garden, Kodu Community, Colby Fayoc, Dave Gray, Decode, Dennis Ivey, DevEd, Faraday Academy, Florin Pop, Fireship, freecodecamp.org, Harry Wolf, James Perkins, James Q. Quick, JavaScript Mastery, Lee Halliday, Maxim Ivanov, Programming with Mosh, Program with Eric, Tech with Tim, The Net Ninja, The New Boston, Traversy Media, Web Dev Simplified, and Wabenfolk. Next, design and front-end channels, Adrian Twarug, Design Course, Jesse Showalter, and Kevin Powell. For DevOps-related channels, we have DevOps Directive. For mobile, we have Flutter Explained, Robert Brunner, Tadas Petra, and William Candian. For blockchain, we have Eat the Blocks. And for backend, we have Caleb Curry, Code Beauty, and Python Engineer. There are some great free books and courses as well. We have Eloquent JavaScript 3rd edition, You Don't Know JS book series. JavaScript 30 is a great free course from Wes Boss. He also has CSS Grid. And of course, we have Free Code Camp with their free courses. There are also some great newsletters that you should check out. JavaScript Weekly, Front End Focus, React Status, and Bite Sized. If you like listening to podcasts, here are some great ones. JS Party, Ladybug Podcast, Syntax FM, Full Stack Radio, Shop Talk Show, The Changelog, JavaScript Jabber, Self-Taught or Not, and Front End Happy Hour. If you're looking for some great blogs, we have the CodePen blog, my CodeStacker blog, CSS Tricks, the Dev.to community. Flavio Copus has blog articles on every topic you can think of, Free Code Camp, GitHub blog, LogRocket blog, React blog, Scotch.io, and Smashing Magazine. That's going to be it for this video. I hope it was helpful. Like this video to help me out and subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this.